To start out my Saphira mask, the first thing that I did was I went online and I looked up images of the character so that I have an idea and different shapes that I can follow along the eyes and scales, and just to see the different characters that make this character different than any dragon. I also went into our Halloween stuff and got this, it's a masquerade mask I got last year, clearanced at the end of Halloween. It's a good time to go and get items like this. It had this felt lining, which makes it a lot more comfortable on your face. But I went ahead and ripped this off, saving it for later because I will be putting it back on. But as I attach things to the mask, if I just glue everything to the front of the mask, I don't think it's going to be very strong and stable to withstand whatever comes with trick-or-treating and classroom party and stuff like that. So I took it off because as I attach things to the mask, I need to glue to the front and then also to the back. That way it will be a lot stronger, and then as I glue this back on over everything that I've glued on the back, it will become even stronger again. So that's why I took all that off. Okay, to start with the scales, I don't know that I'm able to pull this nose all the way out. That's kind of ambitious for me, I think. Plus I'm afraid it'll get really heavy towards the front and just pull everything down eventually as the night progresses. So we're going to concentrate more on just doing different scales, and then I'm really going to try to build up around this eye area, hopefully, to get more of this look. And then of course I'll also do the purple coloring, purple turquoisey coloring. So anyway, to make the scales, I wasn't really sure what I thought. I was going to paper mache stuff, but I decided to use a paper plate, and I went ahead and cut it up. I used a couple styrofoam plates, cut them up into different scale shapes, and then I will use these scales to build around and layer over each other all along the mask. I also thought it'd be fun to get out my husband's heat gun. I've seen him work with this, and it curls things around in a really fun way. So I got it out earlier and was playing with it, and you have to move things out of the way because it does blow warm air. It's not real hot. If you get your fingers too close to it, it can get warm. You just turn it off. It's not like you're going to burn yourself. Not that hot. But it does blow stuff around, so I'm moving all that out of the way. But anyway, take your scale shape, and it has a low and a high. I was doing the high earlier, and it was like melting a little too fast, and so now I've got it on the low. And you just kind of hold it, and it's curling a little bit more than I want there, so I'm going to pull it back out. If it curls, while it's still a little bit warm, if it curls in a direction you don't want, you can push it back. Sorry, off the camera. Anyway, you can kind of start to play with it and just get different shapes. If you come up with something that's really weird and you don't like it, throw it away and try another one. But now I have all these different scales that I think have a little bit more life to them. I've got a pretty good pile here of scales going, and if I need to make more later, I will. But for now, I'm going to start my under eye area. I went ahead and took the plate, and I liked how this edge was already nice and curved and elevated for me, so I just cut it out so that I'll be able to attach it here. Made some marks along the curved eye area so I'll be able to curve it. to make this piece, you flip it over so that you can get a good idea of the angle that you want right here. Cut out your angle. Line that up. I don't think it needs to be perfect because I'm not really sure, but I think I might paper mache over the top. Now to get this right here so that you have the same width, you can go ahead and lay it flat like that. And then follow along here. But you're going to flip it back to get the matching eye areas where you made the cutouts. And again, I don't think you need to be exact, but if you can follow it, you might as well. The next thing I want to do is I want to work on this, this shape kind of under the eye area. That's what I'm going to be working on. So I went ahead and I finally took the elastic off. It was getting in the way and I decided it's going to be easy enough to put back on. Why try to work around it? So anyway, I played with different cutouts that I sort of cut until I reworked this shape here. I want the bulk, that muscle bulge right here, coming out to start about halfway under this part of the eye, and then I want it to kind of go up over close to the ear that you see coming out here. So I finally decided on this shape right here. Again, just using leftover pieces that I have here. And so now I have my under eye shape and kind of this big muscle jawline area starting to work here. And now I'm going to try to tackle some of this. I'm not sure, but again, it took me a couple tries. I just cut and recut until I found a shape that I liked. To get the symmetrical piece for the opposite side, again, flip it over, and then I'll use this so that I get the right angles and cut out so I have two pieces. So I was in the garage and I decided that I'd mix some of my medias and cut a piece off and then cut off the excess pieces that I don't need. And then I started to kind of shape it around the eye area, thinned it out some here and here, and then started to cut off and thin it out a little bit up here, which I'll do some more. And then as I look at my shape that I'm trying to get here, kind of put this back on to get an idea of where I need to start kind of curving it out and thinning it out here for the nostril area. Okay, I've got more contour to it, and I've got an area where I plan to put the nostrils on, and then this part of the snout kind of comes out and meets a larger, bulkier part of the snout. And this is, I'm just using some wadded paper, and I'm going to kind of try to contour it to get the right scale that I want, and I'll keep working on that. I was really starting to get anxious about how it was all going to come together, so I kind of wanted to start putting some of the pieces on. So I just started hot glue gunning it, and I cut out a little area here for the nose or snout area, and then I kind of looked in the mirror to see because it could kind of go up or down or whatever, so I kind of looked in the mirror to get an idea of how I wanted it, as well as with this here, how it was gonna start to come together. So I think I'm gonna start gluing these pieces in place, because then I'll feel a lot better about being able to complete it if I know this piece right here is on. And then I'm going to start filling in the spaces here. But some of that I think I can do with the paper mache that I'm going to do. Fill in some of these air pockets to begin with. So this is where I'm at so far. I kind of took a gamble and put a little bit of glue up here. I didn't put very much because I was afraid it would all melt to nothing. and it did actually start to melt, but I still had quite a bit of extra foam here that I hadn't thinned out anyway, so even though it melted, it still adhered to the mask that I have here, and so I'm confident that this piece is pretty well secure, and I have it all kind of in place. Like I said before, I have sort of some space here that I don't really want, but I think if I start to paper mache over everything, that it'll just sort of gradually go in, and I can fill in this area here instead of, it's not real heavy, but I don't want it to get too heavy. The heavier it gets, the less secure I think it will be. So now I'm gonna start paper macheing, and then I'll build up some more because I still have some more nostrils and other things to do, but I kind of want to get this right here in a secure spot. So apparently at some point I started making a saber-toothed tiger. It's not coming out quite as dragon as I want, and I think it's because this part right here is, well, I wasn't trying to make it as long because I just wasn't confident I could achieve what I was going for. But I think with this, I don't know. If I had to make this into a dragon, I think it'd be okay, but it's coming more across lion than dragon. So I'm hoping, yeah, regardless of all this that I did here, I'm just going to forget it, and I don't know. I think I'm going to somehow try to elongate this all out because I'm not happy with the tiger look. So anyway, but other than that, I've started working the eyebrows. I didn't use foam, I just used paper here. So I'm starting to kind of work it up and work it over here. I've been working on the mask now for about a week. I basically would work on it for 15-20 minutes at a time, let it dry, and then come back to it the next day. That way I feel like it's nice and sturdy, and when you're holding the mask and it's just completely sopping wet, it's really hard to work with. But after a week of working on it and letting it dry, I'm happy with where it's at. I could keep working on it, of course, perfect it, but at some point I'm going to call it good, and that's now. So the next thing I did is worked on this area right here, and I originally thought I'd use pipe cleaner, but I have these nice, this garden wire, and it was around, so I'm using it. So anyway, I stuck it in here. I'm going to go ahead and paper mache around this area so that it's a little bit sturdier. I did decide to put a couple scales. This picture here, the scales are fairly small, but just to give it some more interest, we decided we're going to go ahead and put some scales on it. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the paper and glue it so that they're nice and glued down, and I'll start kind of working around up here so that it sort of kind of elongates up towards the forehead there, and then I'll be done with the paper mache part and I will be able to start painting. I just brought the mask inside from outside where I was spray painting it. I don't know if you can see the colors very well, but I started out with a stainless steel coat that I kind of did to add kind of a hint of a shine, and then I used this what color is it? Just purple. It's called purple, gloss purple, and then I put on a little bit of, this is the hair color that I'm going to put some of it into my daughter's hair to kind of add the effect, and then over the top I put some aqua color, and I did several different, I think I did about 3 different coats of some of these until I got the kind of varied effect that I wanted with the skin tone. And then now what I'm going to do is just adding some acrylic paint. I don't have any more spray paint in these fun colors, but I think I'll also have more control using the acrylic paint. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some detailing in around here and lighten this up around here and add some more details, and hopefully this mask will start to pop. So I went ahead and I painted with the acrylic paint to kind of bring out some of the details around the nose and the eyes and just have different areas pop. And then real quickly I went over with the spray paint to kind of just blend it, a dusting of paint over it to just sort of blend it all together. I'm going to take a fine tip marker and sort of put some scales on, and then I'll kind of do some spray paint over the top of it to sort of blend it all together again, and then it should be finished. And now the finished mask. To finish it off, I went ahead and took these are actually some beads that I got from the craft store, and then just painted white to make them look like teeth. And then we went ahead and stuck them, I cut with the box knife up here and then just glued them up in there. And I went through and put some scale looking details all along the mask, and then went ahead and reattached the elastic here and the felt piece so that it's comfortable right there on the back. And now we have our finished mask. For Halloween night, we're going to braid a mohawk braid all the way down the back of her head, and then you pull pieces out so that it looks real jaggedy up top. And then we'll go ahead and spray the hair with some hair paint that's purple and this lovely turquoise and pink color to kind of add the colors back to the back of the head. And then it's finished.